Right now, it's time to start working on our jumping. Well, to create simple jumping, it's not really hard, but to create it properly, well, it's not that easy, but don't worry. I will explain you obviously everything. Now let's go ahead and open our player movement script. And to have some jumping, we need to have some available for our jumping. And let's create wearable, let's create public. A float, let's call this one, for example, jump force. And this jump force will be like our move speed. It will control our jump power basically. Now let's scroll down. And well, after our movements, we will create simple logic that if we are touching some button, we want to jump. And basically Unity's input manager, if we go in input project settings, it has already set up this jump button, which is set to spacebar. Well, we can obviously change the spacebar to any key that you like, but our limit as it is on the spacebar. It's okay. Basically, to access this button, we can say if input.get button down. And well, in brackets and quotation marks, we should say jump. But again, it's case sensitive, so type it correctly. And well, when we are touching our spacebar, what we need to do, well, we want our movements towards Y, because Y-axis is controlling our jumping. As you remember, should be equal to our jump force. That's pretty much it. That's simple to create a jumping mechanic, but well, there will be complications, of course, but I'll show you them, so let's save the script. Control in this or command in this. If you are on mark to save your script, let's go down, let's play your. If we scroll down, we have this jump force, which is 0 right now. Let's make jump force to be 8, for example, and let's hit play and let's test what will happen when we basically touch the spacebar. Well, our player moves a little bit, but he's not falling down right now. Well, that happens because right now, our game doesn't have any kind of gravity inside. So, it means that we should create some gravity manually, or the help of our code. So let's open our script. We will need one more weary book, basically for our, to control how strong is the gravitation. So we can say public floats. Let's call this gravity mods, or grouchy modifier or something like that. I will call it grouchy mod. Now let's scroll down and well, we need to add one more thing here. After our jumping logic. So here we can say that movement dodge y plus equals. Now what is this plus equals at all? Well, let me first write this line and I will explain you. And to have some gravity, we can use physics dodge gravity. We want to have gravity only on y direction, so we can say physics.gravity.y. And we can multiply it to our gravity mods. To know how strong will be our grouch, we will also multiply to time.delta, time for the smooth movement. And that's pretty much it. How we can have very simple gravity inside our game. Now plus equals means that we are just taking our momentum device. So we are taking our jump force, and we are adding some physics and some gravitation to it. Now let's say the script so controlling this. And by the way, basically, if you still don't understand what is this plus equals, we could just simply say movement.y equals movement.y plus. And then this line. Well, not here what's there. And it would be same basically, but it's just a longer version. So we can use plastic walls for the short touring on our channel anyway. Let's say the script, and let's now see what will happen. Because right now, while we're jumping will not still will not be perfect. So let's select player. Let's scroll down. Well, we have this gravity mode. Let's make it 1. And let's press play and let's test. Well, note when our game starts, our player falls down immediately because before our gravity, our player was in the air. So let's try to jump. Well, indeed, we are jumping a little bit and we are falling down. So let's fall from this edge. And indeed, we are falling down very slowly right now. And that's not really something what we need to do. Well, you might think that we can just modify our gel force, make it bigger or grouchy mode, make it smaller or something like that. But those methods will not work fine. Well, the problem is that a problem is in our movements. We are calculating these movements with the help, and we are considering the player's inputs, and what it does basically does its job. But also what it does, it makes our movement to try. So our movement on the right direction to be reset it all the time, or it just ignores it all the time. And to avoid all of these problems, what we can do, we can basically store information about our movements on why before we do this movement. So before we do these moments right here, we'll create one container and one flow to edible. And let's call this one where to call. I don't know where to call willow sit. And well, it should be cool to our movement.y. So now we are storing this movement. After that, we will apply this movement logic right here. And after our movement, we will restore our original movement, which is now set to this variable. So we can say here movement.y equals vertical. This way, we are just skipping this movement for the movement for the y-axis basically. So we are storing the information about our movement to try before we do this movement. And after this moment is done, we are free to basically restore our original movement. And this way our original gravity won't be affected by this movement and by any kind of input that we might get also. Problem that we will have now is that, well, movements, if we just leave our code like this, our movement on the right direction will calculate forever even when we are on the ground. We want our movement to change on the way to change only when we are jumping, so unwillingly when we are in the air. But if we are chilling on the ground, just staying there walking on the ground, doesn't matter if we are on the ground. We don't want to be affected by anything, by any kind of a wide direction or something like that. And to avoid that, we should tell Unity that if we are on the ground, stop calculating our movement. That's why, but question is how to do that. How to tell Unity differs between when we are in the ground and when we are not in the ground. Well, luckily, we are using the character controller. And character controller has already built in some sensor check. We can call it like this, and to use that, we can say if chart controller dot here, we can say is grounded. And as you see, it pops up automatically. So it means that if we are on the ground, our movement.y should be equal to 0f as I said. So it won't calculate anything while we are on the ground. It will only calculate our movements on y-axis when we are jumping. So that's pretty much it. How we can create jumping mechanic for our player. And now we save this a script. Everything will be fine, so let's find our player. Well, we have this gravity mode to be 1. So let's play test first of all. And we will change those numbers later. And now indeed we can jump and fall down, which looks much better than it was before. Right now we are just falling much faster. Well, if we want to have much snappier movement, we can increase the gravity mode, for example to 0.5 or to maybe let's try to OK. We will work on them later. By the way, one thing, if you do some changes while you are in play mode, when you stop playing, those numbers won't be saved by the way. So for example, I'm in the play mode, and I change the grouchy mode to be true, but when I stop playing it goes back to 1. So we should make changes, final changes while we are not in the play mode. So I stopped playing, and I changed grouch mode to be 2 for now. So let's say the scene, and that's pretty much it. I'll end this video over here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any new videos. See you in the next videos.